Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Joking Dolphin Gaming Podcast. I'm Mark, and as always, I'm joined by Matthew.
Hello.
And Nathan.
Hey up, Duck.
Oh, wait, episode 14.
That's it. We can get a paper round if we wanted to.
No. I work enough as it is. Thank you very much. I don't want a paper round. I don't even read the papers, so.
Yes.
Well, it's been a big week, hasn't it?
It has. We've had consoles.
It's the thing we've been looking forward to for years upon years. Well, a couple of years, maybe.
Yeah.
They're finally here. Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S and the PS4, but not in here. No, sorry, the PS5.
PS5.
Not here.
But
I
not
thought
if anything would have mixed up the Xboxes.
Yeah.
Not quite yet.
But not here. Yeah, not quite for us.
4 days to go for the PS5.
Mm-hmm. Anybody followed anything about it? Because I can't say I've personally tried to observe anything, any reviews or anything like that. I've kind of stayed away.
I've seen a few I've looked into both consoles because I've been trying to get my hands on the Series X. I've not managed to get one as yet. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. It seems like in terms of the speed of the consoles, the hype is real. In terms of how fast the SSDs are loading the games. I don't know if you've watched any of this, but like, for example, fast traveling in The Witcher 3, I've seen that and it's pretty much done in like 2 seconds. Loading GTA is done in a couple of seconds, and we know how long that used to take to load. It's just rapid. I mean, it's features like this that PC players have had for a good few years now using SSDs. And us mere mortal console players might not have had that kind of feature, but we've got it now, and it seems really good.
Well, we haven't got it now.
Well, we've not.
Not personally, no.
But the
it's there.
People that play the consoles do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's anything else I can really say on the consoles apart from, well, the internet's going to a bit of a. I don't know why the internet does this, but they start to do stupid things. And there's these Xbox videos, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People seem to be, after the Xbox launched, they seem to put these videos online saying it was smoking.
I thought it was real when I first saw that. I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
Really?
I initially thought as well, but one of the videos I thought might have been real, but when there was a second one up of kind of a different look of smoke and a different kind of volume of it as well, I was just a bit like, one seems a little bit more. I don't know.
Basically, what people have been doing is vaping through the back of it, so it comes up through the top.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I believe someone from one of the official Xbox Twitter handles, I think it might have been in Brazil, could be wrong, had to demonstrate basically what they'd done, and that like when you turn the system off, the fan is essentially still moving. So from the bottom back end of the console, he essentially just blew this like vape smoke in, and he could show that like it rose up through the top of the fan at the top of the console. It was like, yeah, this is pretty much what people are doing. And then I think Xbox official Twitter handle was like, we can't believe we've had to say this, but please don't blow vape smoke into your electrical consoles.
I can't fathom. You paid £450 or whatever.
$500. Yep.
And you decided like pretending that it's broken by doing something that could potentially then actually break it.
Well, I say
how idiotic can you be?
It's just powdered liquid. It can still damage the insides.
I know you need those sweet internet points, don't you? That's what they're after.
That's it. And for your internals of your Xbox to smell like marshmallow. Yay!
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if like some of them had like the plan of like if we can show them my Xbox is broken,
then it'll turn people over to. I thought it was just I'd have thought it would have been the PlayStation like hardcore buying the Xboxes to vape into them to show that they're breaking to push people over to PS5.
Yeah.
That would be silly. Yeah.
I did see one funny
People.
one though, where guy walked in. He walked into his room with his Xbox in there, and in the disc slot bit, he's just put a cigarette in it. So there was just a cigarette lit in it. So his Xbox is smoking.
All right.
Yeah, that one chuckled, but all the rest I thought was stupid.
Yeah.
Right, should we move on to other news?
Yeah.
So Activision Blizzard have made $1.2 billion from microtransactions in just 3 months.
Blimey heck.
And that covers the period of July to September.
It's a lot of cheddar.
So the Call of Duty
like Overwatch, won't it?
the Call of Duty microtransactions are 4 times higher this year than they were last year.
Oh, I forgot about
Largely, I assume because of the pandemic. So people are indoors, play more games.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare's first year sales were the highest in Call of Duty history.
Oh.
And the 1.2 billion figure is 69% improvement over the same period last year. And that represents more than half of the company's total revenue.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, they're never going to stop with the microtransactions then.
No.
If it's on so much of an increase and it's that much of the company's revenue, you can only see that other companies might look at this and decide to follow suit if they've not already.
Yeah.
Microtransactions taking over even more.
I don't like that news because that's just alarm bells to everyone else, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, this is where we should go.
Well, I mean, funny enough, I might have news that could potentially counteract that, but we'll see on that one. But that's a lot of money. So like even just for just for Modern Warfare, like it's without the microtransactions, it's actually sold more copies in COD history.
Yep. The first year sales are the highest in Call of Duty history.
Wow. What was do we know what was previous for Holder?
I don't know.
Don't know. Well, I suppose that shows that COD's back on its trail of make money and.
It's on the money train. That's what it's on.
Yeah.
It's on the money train. But speaking of Call of Duty, there's been some controversy about the new one, Black Ops Cold War.
Like there always is with every Call of Duty.
So it's on PlayStation. It's been accused of becoming pay to win. So Activision and Sony have been heavily criticised following the reveal of the PlayStation exclusive content for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So PlayStation owners get 2 extra creator class slots, extra tier skips, extra weapon XP, and exclusive double XP events. And there's also something called the Battle Pass bundle bonus. And PlayStation owners who buy it for $20 get an additional 5 tier skips, and that accumulates to 25 total tier skips. And they also have what's known as the PlayStation Party bonus. So if PlayStation players play together in a party, they get a 25% bonus increase in weapon XP. None of that is on Xbox or any other platform.
I mean, there's
the major problem here is that it's cross-platform.
Yeah,
I don't see how that is pay to win. All right, you would probably unlock stuff in the game much quicker.
That is a lot of a lot of extra stuff.
It's a lot of extra stuff, but like in terms of actual, just if we talked about pure gameplay,
What increasing tier skips?
I suppose
you don't see that as pay to win.
But tier skips is for the battle pass, though, isn't it? Like all that really unlocks is like extra cosmetics. Maybe like I think they do have like 1 or 2 guns that they used to have like in the whole season of battle pass, but that's just.
That is a lot, though. You can't. I don't think you can try just.
Oh no, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing that it's heavily favoured within PlayStation users. I think my argument is that actually favoured as pay to win, as in that you're getting a lot of XP advantages, but that just means you unlock stuff sooner than others.
Well,
Well, I think that's
but
it.
then you can. Well, yeah, because you're going to unlock weapon like attachments and things like that quicker, aren't you? So, isn't that?
Yeah, so if an Xbox player has to play 4 times as long, for example, to get something, and you can get it in 25% of the time, you'll have that advantage against the Xbox player. I mean, I can
suppose so.
understand
I
it's
suppose
not...
I'm thinking of it in terms of like actual like gameplay skill. That like someone who's like obviously like brilliant at COD is still going to be someone who's unlocked all attachments but aren't particularly good at.
I agree, but it's
you know what I mean.
It's still an advantage though.
Yeah,
Oh no,
it bridges
I'm not,
that gap a little
my
bit.
disagreement isn't the disadvantage. My disagreement is the actual pay to win statement that's been made. I don't think that's necessarily correct, but I think there's obvious advantages that PlayStation users are going to get.
Yeah, I think that's what it is basically. It's that they're getting a lot of additions and Xbox losing out on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Basically. No, but it's not only that because the PlayStation version has also got a exclusive mode for 12 months.
Yeah, it was a zombie.
Zombies onslaught mode.
Mm.
So,
well, if you like Call of Duty, got to get yourself a PlayStation then, by the sounds of it, at least for the first year, and you want to get everything out of it.
The first year.
So, because then after 12 months, then the new one will come along.
And the new Call of Duty. Yeah.
That's it.
And I mean, this one was already technically rushed according to reports that the next Call of Duty should have been made by Sledgehammer, the ones who made World War II, but for whatever reason, their Call of Duty just wasn't up to scratch with what Activision wanted, so they've like fast-tracked.
They couldn't find ways to microtransaction it, that's what.
Probably. Yeah, I don't like any of this exclusivity nonsense.
It's just a bit much in it. That's the thing. It's just a bit too much.
Just a bit.
Anyway, speaking of Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
In the first 10 months of the year, it generated $1 million.
$1 million?
Billion.
Oh, billion. I was going to say million's
not
much. Can they even pay staff with that?
So the lifetime revenue of it is now $4 billion.
Oh, billion.
That's not too bad. Yeah.
When did it start? Pokemon?
2016.
Oh, he's on it. That's true.
Yeah, mid 2016.
That's about $1 billion a year then.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, I think it's got more now because of, as with everything, the pandemic.
Well, you'd think it wouldn't, because obviously it's a game that you have to play outdoors. And obviously no one's been able to go outdoors.
Well, Pokemon introduced a few things to try and make it easier to play indoors. So they've doubled the amount of distance that you need to be for spinning Pokestops and for gyms. So if your gym's like a little bit further down the street and you can't really get to it, they doubled the distance so you could get to it, so you can still spin your stops every day. And every single day you get an automatic task to do, so you can do your task streaks. And there's increased spawns, reduced reduced egg distance as well, so you don't have to walk as much. They've subsequently taken that side of it away because of the restrictions being dropped slightly. But I think they did put as much as they could in place. That and the remote raid passes as well. So for people who don't play Pokemon Go, basically you fight against a Pokemon, but there can be a group of you that fight that Pokemon. They introduced something called a remote raid pass. So, for example, a group of you would need to be together physically outside like a church, for example, to battle this one Pokemon. But they introduced like a remote pass that you could use. So, for example, I could go to the church and invite Matt so we could fight this Pokemon together. And he could be sat at home. So I think they did as much as they could to combat the COVID situation. But yeah, they're just my thoughts on it. And I think they did fairly well.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, for Niantic, they've got Pokemon Go, they've got the Harry Potter variant as well, and then they've got, I can't remember what the original game was that they had that uses the same mechanics as Pokemon Go and the Harry Potter game. But
I think
yeah,
it was
that was
called Ingress or something like that.
yeah, that's it. And they were well received as well, so they've got those different revenue streams coming in. So that's good.
So the arcade business is pretty much going down the pan, obviously due to the pandemic. But particularly, it's affected ones in Japan. So Sega is now leaving the arcade management business.
Ah.
And they're selling 85.1% of their shares to the, I don't know how you pronounce it, it's either Gender or Gender Group. So yeah, as I say, this is largely due to the pandemic, which has wrecked the industry in Japan. So just under 200 sites have now are going to be sold off or have been. This is after the parent company, Sega Sammy Holdings, in its mid-year financial report, revealed a 21.7 billion yen loss, which equates to $206.7 million.
Ouch.
Gender was established in 2018, and it operates amusement machine rentals and the like. Sad, to be honest.
Yeah,
we all like our arcades.
Sad for the physical aspect, yeah.
But it's sad for Sega, but the arcades are going to live on. But to not be under this, well, they are going to maintain their Sega branding, but it's not particularly good for Sega itself.
I mean, maybe with the this other company acquiring the arcade side, they'll be putting more time and effort into the gaming aspect. Well, the Football Manager and Sonic, maybe.
Maybe. But that's not the only bad news about Sega. So Sega Sammy Holdings is now looking for 650 employees to voluntarily leave the company. If this goes ahead, that will constitute to about 7% of the current workforce.
Wow.
And they're also reducing executive salaries by up to 30% over the next 5 months. But the employees, however, will get a severance package and also assistance with re-employment elsewhere. So they're not just throwing them out, which is good to see.
Yeah.
No, that's always good news.
But what makes this particularly sad is that it's Sega's 60th anniversary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a really sad time, isn't it? It's not what you want, is it?
No. Really.
I mean, to be honest, ever since Sega dropped out of the console market with the Dreamcast, they've been steadily going downhill anyway. So they're not what they were. And to be honest, if out of any of the mainstream, well, Sega's now on the fringes, I'd say, of any of the mainstream gaming companies, you think Sega would be the ones to downsize because you got Microsoft, they've got that, well, Microsoft dollar. Sony, they've got Sony Pictures, and they're fairly well backed and in the console market. And then Nintendo, they could last, well, they've got money for the next 50 years, let's face it, with all their first party IPs. They're never, well, I don't think in my lifetime, if they do decide to continue in the gaming market, I don't think they're going anywhere. But yeah, it is sad because Sega, for a lot of people, was the childhood. Golden Axe, Sonic, Road Rash, just so many different games that came out on the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis in America, Saturn, Dreamcast. If you're old enough, the Master System, SG-1000. So yeah, it is a sad time. But I think them doing this in some ways is a good thing. They're cutting the cloth accordingly so that they can continue. So maybe by doing this, it'll cause them to carry on and keep making games that we enjoy.
Yeah, hopefully it produces stability, doesn't it? Let's hope so. Because I wouldn't want them to disappear.
No, definitely not.
Or maybe Microsoft might come along.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a fairly good relationship with Microsoft, so they might help them out.
Watch this space.
Well, I mean, apparently there was a report done that Microsoft were kind of approaching quite a few Japanese studios about acquisition.
I watched I was watching an interview with Phil Spencer earlier this morning, and he debunked that. But whether it's just trying to throw people off the trail, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Potentially. I mean, it does sound as though they are trying to make an effort into that Japanese market that they've always really struggled in. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Nintendo, who's always going to be number one in Japan, and then
Sony as well.
Sony
The
as well.
Japanese market always tend to look after their own companies first, and like Microsoft's like the American company trying to import their brand of games to Japan. So I think that's why they've had quite a bit of pushback from the Japanese audience. They've never particularly done well at all in Japan.
Europe is the battleground, though. Seen both.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Fight for us and give us all the good games.
Yeah.
Even though we always get screwed out of games. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
Your opinion.
You are true. That is true. Right. This is more money lost, but this is self-inflicted. This one. So Square Enix. They reported a 6.5 billion yen loss, and that's about $63 million. And this has been driven mainly due to the poor sales figures of the Marvel Avengers game. It's believed that the game cost between $170 and $190 million to make.
Wow.
And it only sold 60% of its projection. So that's about 3 million copies sold about. As for the game itself, 2 months on from its release, the game now appears, get this, to have lost 96% of its player base.
Wow.
Not surprising.
I'd go on. Sorry.
Last weekend, the game peaked with just 1,190 concurrent players.
It's dead, isn't it? Unless they make it free to play on PS Plus or on Games for Gold or on the Game Pass, it's going to die.
In November so far, there's only been an average of 752 players per hour.
That was just on Steam, though, isn't it? I don't think that's reported elsewhere, is it?
I've not read that it's just Steam.
Okay. I read an article that
it's not good either way.
Steam figures, but
yeah. What I want to know, what do you guys think the game deserves this? Because you've played it.
Well, I played the beta and I wasn't keen.
I bought the game like an idiot.
Well, did you mainly buy it for the story?
I did buy it for the story because I mean, as it was getting closer to launch and reviews were coming out, they were saying it does actually have quite a solid, campaign to it. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that was the one thing that actually got me interested in it. Like nothing else got me really interested into it. Like I didn't like the marketing around it. I didn't like the just overwhelming kind of marketing on like microtransactions of like, oh, if you get this from Virgin, you get exclusive skins. Oh, you get this from GameStop, you got exclusive skins, which was ridiculous.
On PlayStation, you get Spider-Man.
And then PlayStation exclusively gets Spider-Man, which is again just like. I mean, I suppose you can understand it because they've got some sort of special deal with Sony, whether they have some sort of rights to Spider-Man or not, I don't know. But it's just ridiculous. But heard the story was good.
The game clearly had problems from the outset.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a good idea that they released that beta from a marketing standpoint? Because I think that's probably what might put a lot of players off. Because I remember, didn't we say that there wasn't it that was the most downloaded beta in PlayStation history, or something like that?
It was, yeah. It was similar like that, or at least.
To go from that to what the sales be, suggests a lot of people have played it and they just went, nah, not touching that.
I don't know. It's maybe. I think the news that there was around the beta was fairly mixed as well. Like some were saying it was actually fun to play. Others were saying there's outside of once you've done it with story, what else is there to it? Obviously, there's the multiplayer, but is there any really an incentive to carry on. I mean, from my personal experience of the game, I actually do think it's got a very solid Avengers story, and I like this. It's all kind of around Camilla Khan, who was a really interesting character. I think she's done really well in this game. Enough to get me to want to know more about her outside of just this game, knowing that she's going to have her own TV series, which is cool. Maybe she'll be involved in the movies at some point. I don't know. The voice acting was pretty good. I mean, for the amount of talent that was there, I think it was going to be obvious it was going to be good. I think all the characters were done really well. But I think the big thing that just lets it down is like the gameplay is just
The game's in the service.
Well, that's it. There's that, and then there's go from point A to point B, fight with enemies, do something, fight another wave of enemies, do something else, fight a final wave of enemies.
Competitive.
Yeah, I think it was let down as well with a massive lack of bosses as well. Like there's who is there? There's Abomination, which was sort of an interesting fight, but it's just kind of a big guy fight. Another big guy as the Hulk. I think the only other really memorable one was MODOK, who was right at the end. And that's kind of it. So, and I mean the bugs as well. It was a fairly buggy game. You could tell it was released a bit unfinished, and then they threw updates at it, and then that broke the game further. It certainly broke mine. I was enjoying playing it to a certain point, and then one update, and I couldn't get back into the game, and I've not touched the game since. They've probably made 500 updates, and I've lost the interest to go back to it. So,
well, to put all this in perspective, the Final Fantasy VII remake generated a higher income for Square Enix during its launch quarter on one platform than the Avengers did on 3 platforms.
Not surprising.
Now, some might say it's not a fair comparison to make, because obviously a lot of people have been clamouring for Final Fantasy VII remake for years upon years.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the Avengers, and you would think that would pull in a lot of people. But anyway,
you would think so. I think one big thing they should have done is try and make their own vision of the Avengers rather than clearly a MCU knockoff.
Well, personally, they should have just allowed allow Crystal Dynamics to do their own thing, not be pushed into this game as a service thing. It could have been a great game. It really could have been a great game.
I actually think this might kill off Crystal Dynamics, which would be very unfortunate.
I really hope not. They're a good studio.
They're a brilliant studio. I mean, the Tomb Raider games were excellent.
But they've been basically be thrown under the bus with this one, haven't they?
Unfortunately.
So anyway, Codemasters.
Mm.
Any play Codemasters games?
Yeah, I quite like the Dirt series.
That's good.
Fairly solid races.
They also make the F1 games. They're in talks with Take-Two. They're possibly taken over by them. So the UK-based publisher of Dirt and the F1 games, that they discussed with them for a possible sale of $973 million.
Wow.
Codemasters have said that should Take-Two formally submit a bid, the board intended to unanimously recommend the shareholders to accept it. I don't know whether they've actually agreed to it now. Take-Two said it believes that the combination of Take-Two and Codemasters would bring together 2 world-class interactive entertainment portfolios with a highly complementary fit between 2K and Codemasters in the racing genre. They added, Take-Two believes that it can bring benefits to Codemasters' performance by leveraging Take-Two global distribution and 2K's core operating expertise in publishing, including live operations, analytics, product development, and brand and performance marketing. Whatever all that guff means. Personally, I don't like the sound of this because I think this is going to go into microtransaction heaven. Well, hell, shall we say? Because it's 2K. Have you heard that? Have you heard about the 2K basketball games?
Oh, they
There's
are
forced adverts in it.
Terrible.
Yeah, I saw that.
I heard about this.
Yeah, I think is it like near the end of when the game's loading, they play an advert before you get into a game? Was
Something
that
like
it?
It's
Yeah.
similar, but you can't skip them.
Yeah, exactly. You can't skip them.
Yeah.
And you're paying full price for this game as well. Like if I pay 50 quid for a game, I don't want to be advertised to on top of it. It's like give me the game for 30 quid and I might be a bit more inclined for you to show me ads.
It's the sort of thing you expect in a free-to-play game, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah.
that's it.
Not like
Yeah.
60, 70 quid. Blimey. I don't really like this news, to be honest, but maybe that's just nostalgic for me, because when I think Codemasters, I think Micro Machines. That's what I used to play when I was younger. I used to love that game. And then they did that reboot a couple of years ago, and it was terrible. But enough of that. I don't know if that was Codemasters, though.
Probably not.
Anywhere, any other news?
So I've got a rumor that's come out. So this one might be of interest to you, Matt. So the rumor is that Heart Gold and Soul Silver could be heading to the Switch as remakes. So if for anyone who doesn't know, Pokemon Silver and Pokemon Gold, they had remakes on the DS called Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which redid the second generation of Pokemon games. Those variants of the games are fairly expensive now. Going from I think they're going from like £70 each, which for a game that came out in the tail end of the 2010s is fairly expensive. So I think it could be a good opportunity for some people to buy that and to play those games with upgraded graphics. And if you can go back to Kanto as well, that'd be great. I don't imagine they'd cut that thing out. So you get two generations in one. One thing that I wouldn't want to see, though, if they did transfer the game over, is the Let's Go catching function. So in Let's Go, they changed the way that you catch Pokemon. It's a bit like Pokemon Go, where you flick the Pokeball and that's about it. You don't have to battle the Pokemon down. It's just a chance thing, really. What did you think of that mechanic, Matt? And would you want to see it in any other Pokemon games?
I was actually fine with Let's Go. Like, I thought it remade the first games quite well. I think it reintroduced. I suppose it's just reintroduced audience to what Pokemon kind of used to be like.
Yeah.
Well, not used to be like. Probably for a younger audience, I think Let's Go was really aimed at as an introduction to Pokemon. I should probably saying that. I actually thought it was fine. I thought the catching mechanics were a bit hit and miss, especially with the Joy-Cons. It didn't seem quite as accurate as what I'd like it to be.
Yeah.
I think even with the Pokemon or the Pokeball Go controller that they'd specifically made for the game, so that the catch mechanics were a little bit more accurate. That still was like a bit. It was better than the Joy-Cons, but it was still quite a bit of a nuisance to kind of use. But I actually thought they were fine. I loved a lot of things that those games introduced, like having the Pokemon appear in the wild for the first time, rather than
I think that was a really
chance.
good addition. Yeah, definitely. Just so you could walk around the Pokemon that you didn't want, rather than having 1,000 Zubats come at you in a cave, for example.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah, Zubats in the Mount Moon was always a terrible experience.
Yeah, I think that was the first cave that you needed to use Flash on from memory. And I don't know about you, but there was when I first played Pokemon, I never taught one of my Pokemon Flash because I thought it was like a dead move, taking up a slot. So I used to just walk around aimlessly until I could get out of the cave.
Mm-hmm. I do think as years went by, I think they made Flash a little bit more useful, so that if you actually used it, in a Pokemon battle, I think would it confuse? I think it might confuse.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they did make it a lot more useful.
Yeah, and then again, I think the introduction to being able to have Pokemon out of the Pokeball was really cool, and then even to use some as like riding them around, even like once you got all 8 gym badges, I think it was all 8. It was either all 8 gym badges or you had to complete the Elite Four, but you got to unlock Pokemon that you could fly around in, which made it really cool as well. Although you can fly the whole map, like I wish you could. Like there was obviously some bits to ward off, but I would actually be fine if they did like a Let's Go Johto. If they implemented a lot from what they did with Let's Go, maybe hopefully improve the catching mechanics. The co-op aspect of it as well was kind of cool.
Yeah, because if for the second Joy-Con, you could give it to a second user, and if they shook the Joy-Con, it would give them their own like avatar that they could walk around with.
Yeah,
and they could help you catch. So
yeah, so they help you catch the Pokemon. I'd kind of want them to implement that further, where you actually brought in a second player from their kind of play time as well, so they have their own Pokemon, their own Pokeballs. Maybe make a little competition where like whoever caught the Pokemon first would get the Pokemon or something. That would be kind of cool. I don't mind if they did like a Let's Go Johto version, because I actually think from my experience, I liked the Let's Go games. I think they get a bit of stick for just its catching mechanics, which I think is a bit unfair. So I think it's actually in some places actually a nicer looking Pokemon game than Sword and Shield as well, which is probably a bit unfortunate, but that's
I'd agree with that.
Let's talk for another matter. I'd be fine. I'd be surprised if they did do Silver and Gold though, because I would have thought the natural progression would be right. We need to remake Diamond and Pearl now. If they followed on from
what they were doing with
like I would want to see.
They did Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, didn't they? So
yeah, so they did them after X and Y. For some reason, they didn't do one after Sun and Moon. They ended up going straight into Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. But I'd like to see a Diamond and Pearl and Platinum in the same vein as Sword and Shield, but just really expanded upon.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get to that at some point.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Cool.
So there was an interview with Todd Howard, so the head honcho of Bethesda.
Oh, yeah.
He released a few details about some of their upcoming games. So Starfield. So there'll be no multiplayer in it. It will be exclusively single player. And that and Elder Scrolls 6 will have procedural generation. So to clarify on this, it won't be randomly generated game world, but it will have randomly generated in-game content. Not quite sure what that means exactly.
Okay.
But they are currently working on a complete engine overhaul.
That's good.
Which is very good.
No, they've needed it.
Yeah, it's cracking on a bit now.
And both games will be on Xbox Game Pass from day one.
Not surprising.
But it could be some years before Starfield, apparently. That's pretty much all he really said in this interview. But some interesting notes there.
Oh, interesting. I could I could see what they probably mean is that like they'll be kind of it'll feel more natural in that you'll get quests more kind of randomly rather than fairly set. You know, like you have to go to this NPC to start this side quest to do this thing and that. It's going to be more kind of like, I don't know, running child runs up to you and requests for you to banish the evil whoever is chasing it. Or something like that. It feels like a natural living world rather than fairly set kind of stuff. That could be good. I'd probably look forward to Starfield more than the next Elder Scrolls, probably. I've never been I've always wanted to get into the Elder Scrolls series, but every time I try it, I don't know. Maybe it's just not my setting to like. I don't know.
It did take me about 3 years to complete Oblivion. Because I was playing like on and off. Every time I played it, I did enjoy it. But then for some reason, I just stop and then just forget about it and just play other things and then eventually go back and play it.
Yeah.
But, not even start Skyrim yet.
I put a
Gonna wait for the PS5 Series X version.
Yeah, definitely. I put a good couple of 100 hours into Skyrim when I was playing it, and my PlayStation 3 ended up getting the yellow light of death. So I lost all of my data. Because if you didn't know, if you transfer a hard drive from a PlayStation 3 to another PS3, it wipes it before it can use it for the console. So I threw a pad and I was like, I'm not playing anymore. That's it. So I did start the VR Skyrim version. I played about half an hour of that before I got a headache and decided to put it down. But yeah, I think I'll continue that at some point. But I really enjoy the Elder Scrolls games. A bit of me just enjoys the vastness of them, even though sometimes I don't like the traversing. But it's fun because you can find anything. Like you could be going through a forest and you could find a house with like a witch in, and then you could fight a killer, take all the stuff. Yeah, well, anything can happen. I think we've all seen the glitches. And all the stuff that people have done with it. So that's fun as well.
Mods are always fun.
Yeah. Especially the Thomas the Tank mod with the dragons. That's hilarious. But anyway, yeah, I'm really looking forward to if they when they bring a new Skyrim or Elder Scrolls game. Be looking forward to getting to that.
Xbox exclusive, do we think?
Timed, I'd say. I think it'd be a timed exclusive.
I could see timed, yeah. I could see timed.
Maybe first 6 months you'd get it on Xbox, and then after that they'll release it for everything else. Switch Pro, fingers crossed by then. And then the PS5.
Other news, Amazon has filed a patent application to group toxic players together online.
So they can destroy each other.
So the patent describes a behavior-aware player selection for multiplayer electronic games. So obviously, normally matchmakers tends to be based on, this skill-based matchmaking, isn't it? But the patent acknowledges that there are other factors that should be made aware. So the idea is that players' enjoyment can be based heavily on the behavior of other players. So these players can be labeled as toxic by users, and then these could be isolated together. The patent does acknowledge, though, that it can be difficult to distinguish what exactly defines toxic and non-toxic player. So, such as profanity, for example. So, someone might be comfortable with profanity, but if you quit early in a game, they might object to that. That's toxic. Whereas you might have another player who considers the profanity as toxic, and then the quitting they don't really care about. So where does that lie? It's kind of, I think it's open to abuse, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're asking,
it sounds
if
like
if you're asking to vote on other players, a lot of people are just gonna randomly vote on someone who's doing nothing, aren't they?
That's
I
it.
can see that.
You beat me on FIFA. You're toxic.
Yeah.
Well, I
It's
could see
just
like
stupid thing like that.
that get really abused.
I think it's a good step though, because I can see there being a menu before you start a multiplayer game for you to select what
Do
options
you want to play with the toxic players?
Yeah, that's it. Like where all your mum jokes are and stuff. Or some of them YouTube videos, if and when that does come out, it'll be absolutely hilarious. Just recording them lobbies of all the toxic people.
Yeah, for those sweet internet points again, you just go on, you just intentionally start being toxic, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then you get put in those lobbies just to see what everyone else is. Yeah. Anyway. Well, they've only filed it, they've not been accepted, I don't think. So I don't know if they can. I don't know if that could be accepted as a patent. because even they've described the issues with it. So
Mm.
I can't see that happening. But
Fair enough.
speaking of, well, not necessarily toxicity, but Microsoft is now phasing out peer-to-peer party chats in order to improve security. So at the moment, there's players could potentially DOS your network through your IP address if you join chat, but now they're slowly going to be moving on to server-based.
Oh, that'll be good.
So they won't be able to do that anymore, which is good. Small thing, but it's a good quality of life issue thing, isn't it? Now,
It's always nice.
any other news?
Yeah. So I don't know if any of you have heard about this, but there's a PS5 download bug that makes users, in order to fix it, you'll need to format your PS5. So basically what happens is game queue ever down it's downloading, but it just doesn't. So basically what you have to do is format your PS5, then re-add your games to your queue, and then they will download. So that's an issue that some people have been having. So that was corroborated by IGN. So they've acknowledged it and tested it. So yeah, if anybody's getting games just continuously in the download queue and never downloading, you'll need to reformat your PS5 in order for that to work.
That's not good if you've just downloaded Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Re-download all that again. Oh, God.
Oh, also, in addition, I don't know if we've covered this previously, but when using external hard drives to the PS5, you'll only be able to use PS4 games on those external hard drives for now. So that's just another thing. The only other thing I've got is about the inflation of game prices. So publishers seem to be trying to push the £60 mark now in terms of next generation games, and some even higher. Now, from the 90s, I think the general game prices were about 40 quid in the UK. And given the inflation of the pound, that should be around £80 now, from 1990 to today. And they've kept pretty constant. I mean, in the last generation, for me, I think I've seen the jump from £40 to £50, and 50's the general accepted price now for a brand new game. Even though we try to get it as cheap as possible. But it seems like publishers are going to push for the £60 mark in this new generation. Do you think the games warrant the price hike? I mean, for me, it depends what game it is. I mean, for example, if it's going to be full of microtransactions, then that'd really put me about, because you've spent your £60. You want a £60 worth of game, and you don't want to have to spend an extra £10 a month on a pass or anything like that.
This is the thing to me. It's the actual type of game. If we're talking about a single player,
God of War 2, for example, £60.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah,
knowing the quality of Santa Monica Studios, what they did with God of War, I'd pay that. I think it'd be good.
Yeah.
But then you get the likes of, well, it's not anymore, but the likes of Destruction All Stars was going to be 60, 70 quid. And for that type of game, that does not warrant that price at all. And I know that one's changed to a PS Plus game in the future, but there will be other games down the line which will be around that similar kind of model, which will launch it around that price. And I just think that's, because let's be honest, as much as we love the likes of Rocket League or Fall Guys and that kind of thing,
they don't warrant that price.
Yeah,
there's not enough content there.
Exactly. There's not enough things in it. It doesn't warrant that amount of price.
Yeah.
And together with those games, they expect you to do like passes and microtransactions, etc., as you mentioned. So it all depends on the type of game, if you ask me. But I sense there's going to be a lot of games which aren't. it's a sad state of affairs in games now, though, that a lot of games are going down that route. It's like the games as a service thing.
Mm.
I don't think the Avengers game was worth that much money because it went down the games as a service model.
Yeah, I think for games like that are going to recoup the money later on with the pass. Yeah. You'd probably, in reality, maybe £20-30 you'd pay for a game like that. And then you'd recoup another £30 with a annual pass or something and do it that way. And then you'd have the microtransactions on top if you did want to.
If you get the base game at a low price, and then if you want to give me microtransactions along the way, fine. But I personally won't play those games because I'm not interested in all that microtransaction business for multiplayer games. But I think it's unfair on players to expect them to pay £70 for a game like that.
Any thoughts, Matt?
I mean, I think I'm in agreement. I think with stuff like single player stuff, like God of War, like I suppose
the narrative driven games.
Yeah. I think £60 is perfectly fine because we know the quality of those studios. We know what they can make. And, we know we can rely on that their games are going to be fairly top quality. I suppose the AAA label that gets thrown about and stuff. I really think this generation we might see a danger of indie game stock potentially going away if they have to sustain themselves by upping their price as well. Because I mean, the argument with stuff like Fall Guys and Rocket League, they were charged at a lower price. They weren't full price. I mean, my argument with Rocket League is that I don't think I've played any game this generation that's slowly dying out more than Rocket League. Simply because the premise of what it was absolutely appealing to me. So I would have paid like £50 full price if they did it, just because for me personally, it looked fun. The time that I've got out of it, I've gone over 300-400 hours out of it. So I've gotten all my money's worth out of it on PC at least. But they probably also smart to put it on PlayStation Plus because they knew if they can get that player base, to get the the word out that this game is absolutely super fun and addictive. Once it's gone off PS Plus, obviously people are probably going to pay full price for it anyway, just for the word of mouth and just how good it was. I think games need to have a premise of, is this going to be fun? Is it going to be, would people want to play it? Because I think that's how games like Rocket League and Fall Guys, and to a certain extent Among Us on PC, have gotten so popular because it's got a really addictive premise. And all right, it's repetitive, but it's a good repetitive of, at least the gameplay is fun. It's always going to be fun. It's never going to really kind of lose its appeal. But for stuff like, I don't want to keep on picking on it, but like Marvel's Avengers, unfortunately the gameplay just isn't fun as something like Destiny 2 was. So Destiny 2 can kind of get away with what it did, although now it's gone free to play, so everyone can play it now. I can't see Avengers going down that route, unfortunately. I mean, I think it needs to save itself if it really wants to push what it wants to do, to add all these heroes. And like, they've delayed all the heroes that were coming out. Like, already we should have had, I think, the 2 Hawkeyes come out by now, but they've delayed them because the game just came out in such a bad state. And they've had to focus on bug fixes. But I think really the price is only as good as what you're willing to pay for if the game is going to be fun. and if it's not, then unfortunately, no matter what price you put out, it's just not going to sell. So, I mean, that's my take on it. Like, I think initially your game has to be fun for it to be worth what you're willing to put out for it.
Well, let's move on to something else. So, hacks. Now, I mentioned on the last episode there was a hack. Group had hacked Ubisoft and threatened to leak the Watchdog Legion, the Watch Dogs Legion source code. And they did. They ended up releasing it. So it was 650 gigs. So they just released all the source code to it. So some people will be taking that and modding that and doing all sorts of stuff with that. That's not the only hack that's ended up happening. So Capcom has ended up being hacked using a ransomware tool known as Ragnar Locker. And apparently this group has managed to steal 1 terabyte of confidential data. Capcom stated that apparently customer data was likely not affected. So that doesn't sound exactly like convincing, to be honest.
I better go change my Capcom ID password now.
Apparently, according to the group's ransomware note, the data stolen includes contracts, non-disclosure agreements, sales summaries, and other financial information, along with personal information of clients and employees. Does that include customers? So, apparently, the hacker group are demanding Capcom pay them an unspecified fee to have the data returned. So, quite a lot of hacks recently.
Yeah, definitely. People have got a lot of time on their hands now. They're all locked down.
Yeah, everyone's behind the computers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like us.
I mean, those NDAs will be interesting. If you can find out who they were for and what's been said, well, what they're holding back from us, maybe. But again, it's more hacks going on, information being leaked. It's happening more and more, isn't it? It's
not good.
No. So yeah, I'd urge everybody change your passwords. Keep yourself as safe as possible.
Change your passwords on everything you ever do, ever.
Yeah.
Change everything. Just be safe. Change everything. In fact, just stop the internet.
Yeah, just switch the internet off. We don't need it.
Cancel the experiment.
I mean, that'll be the end of this pod, but is that a worthy sacrifice, maybe?
Well, we'll just record it on cassette tape and distribute it.
Yeah.
Via carrier.
We'll get a pirate radio station.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Welcome to Dolphin FM.
That nice.
Do you remember the game called The Medium?
Yes.
So it's a psychological horror adventure game that appears to render 2 game worlds at the same time.
Yeah.
January 20th. And Blooper Team stated this is down to the current COVID-19 situation, of course, in Poland, where it's been developed, as well as the current schedule of other games on the market. So imagine it's not wanting to compete with the other big hitters around this period.
Yeah.
Well,
makes sense.
As well as that, in Australia, the game has been refused a classification.
Wow.
No
it did look fairly gory. Definitely when in one of the trailers where the knife was going through this skin wall. That was pretty.
I was going to say that's the bit that you loved, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it looked satisfying. I'm not going to lie.
No details have been given as to why this happened, but Australia does seem to have history when it comes to refusing or restricting classifications in regards to games.
Well, how's Mortal Kombat doing in Australia?
It's probably got no blood.
Use the blood code.
They could use green blood, I suppose.
ABACAB. Anybody got any more news, or? I've got a bit more.
I've got some news that I managed to fish out that I actually didn't realise got announced between this and the previous podcast. Funnily enough, don't know how I missed this one because it's probably something that myself and you, Mark, was probably looking forward to for quite a while.
I think I know what you're going to say, but go on.
Yes. So it got announced by BioWare that the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
The worst kept
will be
secret
coming out.
in gaming.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about this in one of the first podcasts?
Probably. I mean, it was a rumor at that point, but I think it's been a rumor that we've kind of known for a while that would eventually, come out officially. So BioWare finally announced that a remastered collection of the first 3 games, the trilogy, will be coming out in spring 2021 for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. While they are working on doing a forward compatibility for the next gen consoles as well.
Nice.
So I mean,
But the trilogy will
this-
also include all the single player DLC.
yes, it will.
Commercial,
Yeah.
armor, weapons, and packs, all optimized for 4K Ultra HD.
Well, let's see if they have the multiplayer working for the third game, because I really love the multiplayer aspects for it.
I wouldn't count on that happening.
Probably not.
Interesting if they did.
But
I'm so looking forward to that. I've got a lot to say on the Mass Effect trilogy, but maybe one day we'll come to a period where we might be able to discuss that in a bit more detail.
yeah, at some point, I think I'm sure both of us would like to gush over all 3 games. I think we have a difference on which one's our favorite, but that's talk for another time.
As a trilogy, I think we can say it's amazing.
Oh yeah.
One thing that I think they should add on to that, that package, is the Mass Effect Andromeda pre-patch. So it's got all the funny eyes and stuff. That'd be hilarious.
All the weird faces and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
I mean,
but
go.
But that wasn't the only thing announced, was it?
No, it wasn't the only thing, because apparently they are working on a new Mass Effect as well. No details that are found from it other than we're doing it.
Well, they did show a concept art piece.
Oh, they did, yes, of the
So it's a painting of like a ship parked
a
up.
ship/vehicle, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was 4 characters just stood next to it. On like it was like dusk on this planet. Not much to really glean from it, but
nope.
I'm a bit in 2 minds about this because obviously what happened with Andromeda. So can I get fully excited? But then again, it's Mass Effect, and I hope they've learned from what's happened with Andromeda. So I'll have an open mind. I hope it's going to be great. But replaying that trilogy
in that sweet 4K HDR, 60 frames a second.
I'm going to lose so many hours playing that. I can't wait for it. Cannot wait. Incredible series of games. But I only ever played the trilogy once, and I played Paragon Man. And I always wanted to do Renegade Woman. So I think that's what I might do next. This comes out. But this is the thing. On those games, I do always struggle. Well, not just Mass Effect, but any game really. I always struggle to try and be the bad guy. I always think trying to be nice, because in the back of my mind it's like, if I'm doing the bad stuff though, I'm going to get a bad ending, aren't I?
You could get the good ending.
It's like Red Dead 2. I wanted to be a bad guy, but I couldn't. I had to be honourable. God, I was. But...
I think you'll all be shocked to find out that I'm probably going to go for the bad ending.
Yes, I'm very shocked. This is my shocked face.
So, Demon Souls got released.
You
know how on the PS5 is making use of this on their UI about things that help. The guides and walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Demon Souls has got over 180 videos to help you along the way.
Oh, nice.
So they've really put in depth into that.
Wow.
Because it's a famously punishing series, isn't it?
Yeah.
Souls games. That's quite nice. I know the Soulsborne the community is actually supposed to be very nice. Normally a lot of communities are toxic. Apparently the Soulsborne ones are quite nice because you can invade other games, can't you, or something like that. I don't know if you can do that in Demon's Souls, but you can other ones. And they're supposed to come and attack your player, but actually I know a lot of people they join other games and then they just end up helping that person.
Yeah.
Fight the monsters.
Yeah, they could do. I think it was in I think Dark Souls might have introduced it. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but there was
Dark Souls,
well, there's people who can invade, but then you can also invite people to actually help you as well. So I don't know if Demon's Souls did it, but I know Dark Souls, they had the whole messaging feature where other players could put down messages to potentially warn or
so creature around the corner.
Yeah, or just go up the stairs, and then as you're going upstairs, there's a boulder coming down. Just oh well, you didn't tell me about this. Or there's a message further up saying, oh, by the way, there's a boulder coming down or something.
Turn back now.
Turn back, yeah. But that's nice.
Great. It's great that it's really been taken advantage of. And hopefully it's a sign of things to come for the games.
There's a rumor that at the Game Awards there will be a reveal for a new Silent Hill game.
Ooh.
Apparently this has been rumored for quite a while, actually.
Well, I think the game has, but apparently it's going to be revealed. I'd say I've never played any of the Silent Hill games, so.
I played 4.
Correction, I've played a demo of one. Was the one called Room or the Room or something like that?
That's the one that I was playing.
Before the Room. I played the demo of that.
Yeah, it's freaky.
Yeah, there's a thing on the wall or something like that. So crawl out the wall and crawl in.
Yeah. So there's a. I suppose the premise of it is that you're stuck in a room of an apartment, and you have to kind of find a way out, and you find that I think it's behind the mirror in the bathroom is this massive hole that's suddenly then you end up crawling out of it, and you're in the Silent Hill world. I don't know if number 4 was actually set in Silent Hill. I think it was just a continuation of whatever's been happening in the previous games. But it'd be nice to see. I think I would have loved to have seen what Kojima would have done with Silent Hills. I think he had some massive plans for it.
The whole PT thing was it's a missed opportunity, isn't it? I mean, based off of that, I would never have played the game, but it would have been very interesting to see.
Hey, PT's very family friendly, I'll have you know.
Well, you'd have it as a noob game, wouldn't you? First time you're playing a game, give them BT.
Yeah, give them PT.
For some reason I said BT then.
PT.
give them British Telecom.
Yes.
BT Home Internet.
So, any wrestling fans out there?
Yes.
The wrestling promotion, AEW, have announced they're working in conjunction with Ukes to produce some games based on that promotion. Now, anybody remembers the old WWE or WF SmackDown games? Back in the early days, they were developed by Ukes, very popular games. And then those games ended up getting taken over by 2K and became trash. Because I've not played them. Well, I've barely played any of them, put it that way. Let's be honest, the last one was a complete horror show. WWE 2K20 was terrible. And then, was it Battlegrounds? Is that what it was called?
Battlegrounds, yeah.
That wasn't that great either. So now AEW are going to be working with Ukes again. I'm looking forward to this. I think they'll be quite good.
Well,
back in the old school.
I hope so. I mean, they've said they want to make a No Mercy style wrestling game. I think for anyone who is a gaming fan and a wrestling fan kind of knows that WWF No Mercy on the N64 is the holy grail of wrestling games.
Yeah, it's widely regarded as one of, or if not the best wrestling
game. I don't know who the developer was at that point. I think it was Acclaim, maybe. Sounds familiar.
You might be right.
Because I think they made like the WCW games as well, which, funnily enough, I actually thought they were pretty good as well on the N64. But yeah, I think people had suspicions that when Nukes suddenly left WWE in 2K after 19, because I think Ukes were still kind of developing the games, but they were using kind of 2K's technology. And then as time gone on, 2K kind of picked up some of the other stuff, and Ukes were kind of becoming more of a, I suppose, like a consultancy to 2K on how to do it. But then they left after 19, and I mean, so we saw the trash that was 2K20 with the amount of bugs and bad gameplay that they tried to do, which is why they've taken a year off, because they need to, I suppose, get better.
Yeah, it took a year off and released what effectively is a mobile game.
Yeah. So I think going with Ukes is a smart decision by AEW. And I mean, they've got a lot of gaming fans. I mean, Kenny Omega is a massive gaming nerd. I mean, all the stuff they did in Japan. He likes his Japan games, and I'm sure he'd help create that game. And I think along with that, I don't think Ukes is making the rest of these. I think it's purely just a console game, but they're going to have 2 mobile games. One based on like a general manager mode, which I think quite a lot of gaming fans wanted back in the WWE games. Or at least certainly what Austin Creed has made popular again with his GM mode series on YouTube. I think people really wanted to see that again, so they're going to have a mobile version of that, which looks interesting. And then they've got this other one. Is it Double or Nothing Casino something? I can quite remember the name of it.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what that one's based on. I don't think it's quite in the same style as what the GM mode is and the console game's gonna be. But I mean, they're making a play for the wrestling genre. I'd be happy to see someone finally challenge WWE at this point for at least quality wise and how fun the games could be. I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to see what they could do with the first AEW. I mean, you can't get any worse than what TNA tried to do. Apparently that was very terrible.
Right. Should we move on to what we're currently playing?
Go on.
Go on, Dave. Starts off. What we're playing.
I've been playing nothing.
Nothing at all.
Because the games
Nothing
that I've been playing are going to be part of our next couple of segments, so I've got nothing to say. What about you, Matt?
Straight into it. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I've not been. Well, maybe fortunately, I've not been playing anything that goes into the next segment, so I can talk about these. So I started getting back into a game that's called Elite Dangerous. If you've not heard of it, it's pretty much like a space flight simulator. Don't know if that's quite right or wrong. It's fairly MMO-esque in that like you start off with your pilot, you start on I suppose like everyone gets like a base spaceship that they start off with, and you start learning how to fly it, how to fast travel into different systems within the massive galaxy that you're in. And you can do different jobs and stuff, like you can be a courier to take stuff from one space station, take it to another space station, and you can build up like reputation between different factions and whatnot. Me and my mate have been doing this. Like we've gone out of I suppose the tutorial collection of systems, and you think that's big, and then you go into like the galaxy, and it's just absolutely massive. Like I didn't think the game was as big as what it is, but you can do all sorts of great. your ship and stuff. You can carry more items between different systems, or you can take out pirate ships as well. That's been quite interesting, though. Most of the time I've been trying to take them out. They get to about 30% health, and then they bloody fast travel away from me. Find them again. So I'm gonna start that all over again. But no, that's been quite fun. And apparently the VR for it is really good. Like, I've not got a VR system for my PC, but I think if I ever do, I think Elite Dangerous might be one of the first ones to try it out on, because it really makes you feel like you're in a spaceship. It's really good. Pretty good space sim. I'd recommend. Something else that we've started to get into is a game that's called Warhammer Vermintide 2. So this is set within the Warhammer universe. I'm not massively familiar with it, other than it's like you've got your orcs, your mages, your warriors and stuff and whatnot. But this is like Warhammer's version of Left 4 Dead, in that you start with a class. So there's like 5 different classes. You kind of got like each one's got like a melee weapon, then like a ranged weapon. But some are different. Some are like, one's very archer / assassin-esque, where she's using bows, but then she'll use daggers and stuff. And there's another one who's like a full-on mage, where she's got like, she can use spells. If you use it too much, you end up like overusing your powers and stuff, and you end up like self-destructing, which is a weird mechanic. I tried to get used to it, and it's very different, but it's fun. It's quite cool. It's fairly gory as well. You can lob heads off and limbs, which is, I suppose, a plus in Nathan's book as always.
Sweet, chopping limbs, like it.
Yeah, it's 4-player co-op, so it's pretty cool, first person. I think it is on consoles. Might be worth having a look potentially. And then I've been getting back into FTL, Fast and Light. That's just a fun little. It's a fun little game where you're essentially managing a spaceship as well with your crew, and you go into different systems while trying to essentially get away from this like a corporate. Well, I suppose like a corporation in effect who's like taking over all the systems that you end up trying to fast travel into, and then you go to different spots. You go to different points at each system, and you can either like fight another spaceship, in which if you beat them, you'll get their resources, which you can use to upgrade your systems, like your shields, weapon systems. Being able to see more information about the other ship as well, so you can, rather than just seeing what weapons they've got, like what crew they've got and stuff like that. It's just a fun little game. It's just like a nice, relaxing game to play. Just to waste time in. And then like towards the end, once you get to like the last system, you end up having to fight this like massive ship that's got all these different weapons and whatnot, and it's all about like managing what to take out of first on it, like what systems, and then I've never been it. Never been it. I've gone really close once, and it ends up cloaking, and then I can't hit it all, and then it comes back and fires like that one rocket that ends up destroying my ship, and I've got to start all over again.
Oh.
But it's quite fun. It's nice. And then one last thing that I've been playing is the last DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Crown Tundra. So I've been playing more with that. I don't know if I can't remember if I started playing it the last podcast. I might have, but I've gone further into it. Got to the point where I've got to fight the legendary Pokemon that's like I suppose the mascot for this DLC. Oh god, I forgot what the Pokemon's called. You essentially fight it, and it's like it's steed Pokemon as well, which I didn't realize was part of the DLC, which is quite interesting. So I'm gonna be fighting that, and then I've got to try and. I've still not caught all the legendary birds that have splintered between the different areas. So one's in like the Crown Tundra Wild Area DLC, which is really good. I really like how they've handled the wild area in this one, because all the places are like interlinked now as well, rather than being kind of on separate routes, and you've just got a wild area that's separate away from anything that really happens. They've incorporated that really well. One of the birds has gone to the Isle of Armor wild area, and then the other one's gone into like the main base game wild area, which I need to go and track down and catch. But then doing the Dynamax adventures has been quite fun as well. So that's where you go through these different tunnels with three other players, and you choose which route you want to go to. So you could go down to like the electric route, which you end up finding like electric Pokemon in a Dynamax fight, or you can end up going against like a rock one. But towards the end, you always end up fighting against like the legendary Pokemon that you can catch. I've quite enjoyed that. I think it's a really good feature they've added into this DLC. So,
Well, are you an advocate for this kind of expansion for Pokemon games? Are you enjoying it?
I've enjoyed them. Yeah, I think what they've added to the base game has been really good. Like finally being able to have a Pokemon out of its bowl and following you as well, which I don't know why it wasn't in the base game, but introduced in the DLC, I think it's been good. I think it's unfortunate that you can't ride them though, like you can in the Let's Go games. Like I think that should be something that should be like a staple in the games now. Now it's all 3D and it's all and stuff. Like you should be able to really do that kind of stuff, be able to ride your Pokemon or be able to fly around the wild area like you could in Let's Go and to a certain extent in the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire games, like being able to ride Latios or Latios around the full area, that was really cool. They always seem to keep progressing features and then suddenly bring them in like the third or the sequel games. It's really annoying. They should just all the features just in one game. Just do it.
Well, that's what I'm waiting for. The game that's got all the DLC, all the features, in physical, of course, and then I'll buy it then, like the Armor Edition or whatever it's going to be called.
Don't know what
or if they ever do it, we don't know.
Well, I think they're already doing I think they're doing a physical one with all the DLC attached to it. I think they're already doing it.
That's great. Oh, nice. I'm looking forward to that then.
I'll have to have a look into that, but yeah, that's all I've been playing. How about you, Mark?
You know how last time I said I was playing the Little Nightmares DLC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's 3 levels on the DLC. I'd already completed the first one. And so I was playing through that, and I got to the third one, which I believe was called The Residence. So in these DLC, so in the main game, you're playing as a young girl called Six, and in the DLC, you're playing as a young boy called the Runaway Kid. And I came to a bit, so I was fairly quite far into the third one. I came to this bit where you come across these sort of shadow children creature kind of things. So they're kind of like apparitions, but they're kind of like made of smoke. And basically, the Runaway Kid, he has a torch. And in order to kill these shadow creatures, you just have to point your torch at it. And you have to hold it on them for about 3 seconds, and then they just die. So I came to this bit where I've got to run across a room, avoiding these shadow children things. And at the end of the room is a chair and a lever on a wall. Now, in order to progress, you've got to move the chair to the lever, climb the chair, jump onto the lever, pull it. Opens the door. But throughout all that, while you're doing it, you've got these shadow children who keep coming at you constantly. And it's not like you can't kill them all because they just keep appearing. It's like infinite. There's no way to do it. So you've got to incrementally pull the chair, stop, point your torch at one of these shadow children, and then once you've killed him, move the chair again. And I started to get really quite cross at this bit. So, because I mentioned in the previous episode that the mechanics of the game can be a bit clunky and don't always work quite the way you want it to. So it came to a time where I was like, put my torch, and then when the torch goes on these shadow children, they start to run sideways to avoid the light that you're facing.
Okay.
So you have to follow them with the torch, and that creates another problem because then other ones come up. And it's like, as soon as these touch you, you're dead. That's it. So I started getting across because they kept appearing, and I'm moving the chair slightly, pointing my torch, and then it moved to like the bottom of the screen. And obviously I'm shining my torch at that point, and then one's running up behind me, aren't they? I'm like, well, I can only point my torch in one direction, and I've got to have it in this light for about 3 seconds before it dies. And I just couldn't do it. I kept being killed. And in the foreground of it seemed to have like a pillar and like I said drawers or something, which was obscuring the view. So that was just bad design. That I couldn't really see where they were coming. And I died about, I would say about 15 times.
It's Black Flag all over again.
And 2 came at once, died, and I just went, F this, I am done. And I rage quit.
Wow.
I switched it off. I'm done with it. I was so infuriated. I kicked my stool.
Never played you again.
I was so mad. It was such an annoying, because even though the mechanics were clunky, it's the main game never caused much of a problem. This DLC was infuriating, particularly this last one.
Did you look online to see if there was a different way of doing it? See if you were missing a certain mechanic or something.
Well, there wasn't anything else there. That is what you had to do. I knew that's what you had to do, but there's no other way to do it. But I had enough. The red mist descended. I'm just like, F this, I'm done. So I just quit that. I'm just like, I don't care. I mean, I'm glad I completed the main game. I would encourage you to play the main game. But bugger this DLC. Done. Never going to play that again. But in more better news, I completed Watch Dogs 2.
Oh, good.
So took a while in typical Ubisoft fashion, but there's one good moment in. So in the penultimate mission, you infiltrate a electronics company's main headquarters kind of thing, and you walk into a room, and there's a big podium, and on the podium is a big mechanical spider. This is the typical spider talk in every episode.
Yay.
And I thought, oh no, this is going to be horrible, isn't it? But it turns out you end up just controlling this mechanical spider. So you run up into a room and you take control of it, and it's massive, and it climbs up walls and all that. So you just hack into it, and it can stomp on people, climb on walls, shoots cannons. Best spider ever. Best spider I've ever seen in game. Best spider in games. But yeah, then I went on, completed the game. It's all right. It's an all right game. I mean, it's a bit repetitive at times, but not a bad game. So that's that done though. That's another one of the big open world games ticked off.
Hey.
You're smashing through them now, aren't you, Mark? You'll have done them all soon.
Yes, that's that one.
Ready for next gen? Well, current gen.
And I recently bought Forza Horizon 4.
Ooh. I can't wait.
So this was the pretty much the only recent driving game I've been interested in wanting to get. Because it's say the British countryside. Oh, we love being almighty. I've not played a whole. I've played about 3 hours, something like that. So I've got a house. Give me a house, which is nice. But I got the ultimate bundle. So I've got like all these free cars that I've got to claim.
Okay.
So, literally, there's about like 50 free cars I've got.
Oh, nice.
which I've only claimed like 2 of them. Actually, it might be more than 50. There's a lot of them. But it includes the James Bond pack as well. So I've got like the Aston Martin DB5, which I can't wait to rag around in. So that'll be good. So yeah, just right. What I like about it in the game is how it makes, you know how you see other drivers on the road.
Yeah.
But they're actually a computer.
Yeah, it uses your friend's gamer tags. That's a nice touch.
Yeah. So I think I saw yours, Nathan. I think.
And that made you want to run me off at road.
Well, I did. So.
Oh,
I knew it.
But yeah. But yeah, that's good. I like that. But as I say, I'm not really. I mean, the races are races. I think
I like the variation of the races though, because
the difficulty is not bad as well. I mean, a lot of times on races, I tend to be pretty. It's always difficult to win them. Same previous racing games that I play, but actually now I can quite comfortably win. Maybe I've got it on too easy, but I don't care. I want to win the games. I want to win those races. Give me all the free stuff. Give me all the points. Give me all the.
You don't want a challenge. You don't want a challenge.
No, but at least you can change it. You can up and down.
Up it if you think it's too easy. Yeah.
And if you up it, you get more XP points and things like that. So it might be worth upping it anyway. So yeah, that's all I've done really on Forza Horizon 4, but I've not gone massively in depth in it yet. And then another game I played, well, that I've replayed. It's a long time since I played this, but it's a fantastic game.
Black Flag.
Yeah.
No. Okay. And that's Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Oh, yes, I've heard this one.
Now, if you don't know what Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is, it's a bomb defusal game, which is cooperative play. So one person is in a room with a bomb. Now, this was on VR, so you could play it on PSVR, but there was an update where you didn't need the VR anymore. So that was great. So yeah, one person is there defusing the bomb, and another person or a group of people have got a bomb defusal manual, and then you have to describe what's on the bomb, and then the person with the manual has to describe to you how to disarm the bomb. I've actually got my bomb defusal manual right here. So there it is.
Very nice.
Yeah, very good. So that's something good. So yeah, I was playing it online with my brother. So he bought the game because obviously he didn't need VR anymore. So we were just doing it all online. Really good fun. I mean, there's not much else you can really say about it, but I was also playing with my niece. Hello, Faith, if you're listening. So she was like defusing the bomb, and I was doing the manual stuff. And I was actually surprised at how well she was actually doing, because I thought she might struggle to describe all the things on it. No, she did really well. So it was just good fun playing that. I really think we need to play that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah, test the communication. It's either going to make the relationship stronger or break us up forever.
Well, one of us have been blown up, so
Yeah,
it'd be
true.
to us anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I think we really need to play that. It'd be so much fun, I think.
Is it still an offer on the PlayStation Store?
Yeah, I think it's until the 20th, I think. It's just over £5.
Oh, cool.
It's well worth it. It's well worth it. Especially now that you don't need the VR. So it's a lot easier to access. I think that's why I didn't play as much as I should have, because putting all the VR on and etc. And obviously because lonely. Because at least now you play
road rage.
at least now you can play it online. So if another person just gets the game, you can just play it online like that.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in a party per se. It's just one person has a manual, other person just plays the game, and it's the same.
That sounds good.
But one final game I've played that I like my simulations and slice of life games, that kind of thing. So I'll be playing Train Sim World 2. So yeah. So I playing a train driver called Thomas Derail, known as determinism and all that.
That's inspired.
And I started playing as a train driver on the London Underground, because because the London Underground is in the Train Sim World 2. He was introduced to that, and particularly the Bakerloo line. So I was there, so I actually got really nerdy about this, and I had my coffee in my thermos flask, and I was sat there just my little cabin, just pushing all the buttons, just watching the world go by,
working away.
Yeah, it's just something really pleasant about it. I can't. If you're not into them, you're just not into them. But I don't know why I love these sorts of games, but I just do. It's just I like the simplicity of it. But there's one bit where I had to go to started off at Queen's Station, is it? Queen's Road? I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, I went to one end of the line, and then you have to come back up the line, the opposite direction. Now, obviously, when you get to the end of the line, you've then got to switch cabins, haven't you? You've got to go into the cabin at the other side. So instead of being smart and just like leaving the train and then go into the full, I decided to just go through the entire carriage. So I had to open and close like
all the doors,
20 doors throughout the entire train. And then I realised I was about 3 minutes late to like getting to the next stop because I was just farting about with it.
Well, Southerners late, that mate. 3 minutes late, you have to try and adhere
because it has the timetable in the corner. It tells you like the time you're supposed to reach the next station. And I'm just failing miserably. And I overshot the stations quite a few other times as well.
Oh dear!
Nobody can get on.
Yeah, so it's like by the time we came to a stop, there's probably only like one carriage that was still by the station. It's like everyone pile into the back, it'll be fine.
Just make your way through.
We've got a COVID special on. Everybody, everybody stick together.
Yeah, I don't know why I like it. I just do. It's just like for half an hour, you just have a train journey.
Is it just the slow down in pace that you can just relax and methodically do what you need to do?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's because it's uncomplicated. Well, actually, no, that's not quite because a lot of the buttons. Although there are for the tube train, there is some it's got like buttons on the pad which are just like make it a lot easier. So R2 will increase speed, R1 will decrease speed.
Yeah.
Left on the D-pad will open the left doors, R on the D-pad will open the right doors, and they will also close them. And that's really only the buttons you really need to know after you start the train up from the start. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. Riding around on my train, on my choo-choo. Shall we move on to the Video Game Hall of Fame?
Go on then.
Okay, so this is where we take an in-depth look at a game of high quality or historical importance and induct it into our pad the games we feel deserve special recognition. Our inductee this episode was first released in 2004 on the Windows PC, subsequently getting releases on Xbox, Xbox 360 and the PS3. Developed and published by Valve, it's Half-Life 2.
Ooh.
So, did you play this back in the day? First released, or did you wait?
Ooh, when it was first released.
Because you're more the PC player out of
Mine.
PC, but not that much.
True. I'm trying to think what would have been 14 when it came out. I don't think I properly got into PC gaming until I was about 16, 17. I'd flipped over from Xbox Live over to PC when the 360 came out because I could not afford it at the time, so I went over to PC gaming. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I was about, I think 18, 19 when I first actually tried Half-Life 2. And unfortunately, my 17, 18-year-old self did not have a great opinion of it initially. If only because it is a very slow kind of starter. It's a bit of a slow burner getting into the game, getting into it. So as you kind of know, you kind of start off on this train as Gordon Freeman. You're riding up to is it City 17?
City 17.
Yeah. 17, yep. And as you're on this train ride, Mr. G-Man or G-Man is talking a bit of nonsense to. I think it's G-Man, isn't it? I don't know if he's edged. Yeah.
Not G-Mar. That's an in-joke from the last podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So for the interruption, so he starts talking about nonsense to Gordon about things and aliens and whatnot, I think. And then you arrive in the station, you get out, and you get a bit kind of forced through the station a bit. Like, it's quite interesting. There's one point where there's like a guard who just like knocks over a can off on top of a trash can and like tells you to pick it up.
Pick that up.
And if you don't, you end up getting a bit of a bean from him. He ends the game there. It's like, you did well, Gordon. So you go through that, and then one guard pulls you into a room, and it's Barry, I think is the name, the guard, who's like, oh, you're here and whatnot, and oh, you need to go here actually to do what you need to be doing. But it was such a bit of a slow start for me at that point in my life where I was just like, what's so good
You're
about
not
this
thrown
game?
into the action, are you? Yeah.
No, it takes a good, probably like an hour and a half to get really going into like, I suppose the first real kind of big set piece and shooting in that. But it takes a while, and I think at that point I was just like, what is this? Like, why? I don't see why this game's good, so I just ended up dropping it. And it went until probably my early 20s that I just picked it back up. I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a proper go because it's hailed as the best game in the world at the moment, or maybe still is, arguably, potentially. I'd give it a proper go, and I started to understand like why it was actually as good as what people were saying. Because like obviously, at the point that it came out, I don't think there was anything like it in terms of, at least in terms of like graphics and especially the physics engine. Like it was just something completely different to what anyone else was doing.
Yeah, it was a sort of evolution in terms of first-person shooters, wasn't it? Because it wasn't a running shooter per se. There was a lot of puzzly aspects of it in terms of traversal and things like that.
Yeah, it had quite a lot to it. I mean, it had the puzzle aspects. There were a little bit of platforming in there, you could argue as well, in parts where you've got to traverse certain areas. There were a couple of points when I played it that I fell off a building and died. But I think if you think it came out in 2004, it was very innovative for the type of game it was. One thing I would level against it, though, is the amount of load screens. They don't take very long, but they do break the immersion.
I think I read that apparently there's something like 68 or something like that loading screens in total. Yeah. I mean, it's nice that it seems to be like one sort of seamless world, so to speak. It's not level.
Yeah.
It's all like continuous kind of thing. But I know what you mean. It's like you'll jump off a platform and
then halfway through jumping. Yeah.
So you just
halfway, load screen.
What is this? I mean, I think there's a part just before you go into a building, and the loading screen is just before some guards come out to try and attack you. So when at this point I made my save, and then just as I come into the game, I just get shot at, so I lose 20% of my health. So that was quite a funny moment. But I think the only bugbear that I've got for it is probably will be the load screens. I like the shooting mechanics. That's really, really fun. As you face, the first enemies that you face are like I want to say the Black Stormtroopers. That's what I like to call them. And then a bit later on, you start finding the aliens. So what I can only describe as like the Venus flytrap style. They basically have this long string, and if they catch you, they'd like try and pull you into the mouths to try and eat you, and they take quite a lot of health. But you can easily get around them by shooting them in the mouth, and then they'll drop you. There was a certain bit of the game where you're in kind of like a dark tunnel, and there's loads of them. So you keep getting pulled up, and there was a certain point that I got to where I ran out of ammo, so I just, this is before I knew to use the crowbar to attack them. I just let it kill me, so I could go back to the save.
Gordon Freeman loves his crowbar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He loves that crowbar. Smash everything in sight with that.
Yeah. Oh, there was one other thing that was fairly annoying. The handling of the hovercraft. That was terrible.
You think?
Yeah.
I didn't mind that.
I mean,
For what I remember, anyway.
if you,
I've not played it in a long time.
I've played it over the last couple of weeks, so I'm using my modern day gaming preconceptions. So I imagine for 2004 it would have been really good, because it's a little bit like how the Warthog used to handle, where you use the right stick to point the direction and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a bit annoying. But I do like the puzzly aspects. They're not that deep, but it's a nice change of pace from the shooting side.
Yeah, because it's interesting where just like you have to move objects. There's a few of these things where you have to move a bunch of cinder blocks onto a plank of wood just to raise it to make it like a seesaw.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first bits where you needed to kind of stop and think and use the things around you to try and get to a point where you could progress. Yeah.
I like the one where it was in that water section that you just mentioned, where you have to put all those barrels underneath under the ramp, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Squadron. I'd say this game has so many red barrels. So this is the standard video game trope of red barrels equals explosives.
Yeah. Like you shoot one and then everything basically goes up.
Yeah, there's so many explosives in it.
It was satisfying to actually put one of those underneath the long-tongued alien ones.
Yeah,
so they start pulling it up, and then you shoot and just explode them all.
Because they tend to group up, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good use of physics and puzzles there.
I mean, that brings us on to the gravity gun, isn't it? The gravity gun. One of the best weapons in game.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I think it's got to be up there.
That's what made the whole physics aspect great, didn't it? The fact that you could pick things up and just do things with it. And just pick up any object, because you can pull things towards you as well, couldn't you? It wasn't just a case of always finding things there. So that was good. So let's talk about Ravenholm.
Do we have to?
Ravenholm is interesting because I think it's probably my favourite and also least favourite bit of the game.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the most memorable part of the game.
Yeah, but I don't like actually playing through it. Because I remember when I was playing. I was playing this the first time, and I was playing on the orange box on PS3. And I'd been playing for quite a few hours, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to finish my session now. I'll pick this up another day. And this is when it just got to Ravenholm. I just literally just entered that exited the tunnel into Ravenholm. Yeah. And then I just saw just the darkness, and then the legs that were swinging from the tree.
Oh yeah. And
I went had a look at it. So I went up to it, put my torch on, and then suddenly there's just a zombie in the darkness, or head crab zombie in the darkness behind it. I'm like,
yeah,
okay. And I just thought about that point. Okay, I'll just get through it. I'll just play this bit. I'll just get through it because I don't want to put this off and then have to think about it in the future, because this looks like a scary bit. But this is where the gravity gun came to effect, though. It really came to effect, because you could pick up the saws, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, the sword discs.
And the physics were fun. Yeah, the physics were good on that, because it actually cut where it sliced, didn't it? So no matter where you cut on the enemy,
on the zombie and stuff.
Yeah, that was really good. But Ravenholm, man, we don't go through Ravenholm.
Well, at this point is where I have to make probably a bit of a confession, in that
you stopped playing. You never played it past that point.
To a certain degree. So the second time that I played through Half-Life 2, which was my first proper, I'm going to give this a go. Got to Ravenholm and got to all the zombies and that was fine for me. And then there's a certain point where you had to switch off electricity onto a gate, and then made your way up inside a building in a ladder or something, I think.
Yeah.
And then you have to make your way downstairs, and as you go downstairs, there's kind of there's there's boxes of crates kind of around, I think. But then one of the crates gets smashed up, and it's like one of the, I suppose, the black head crabs.
Yeah.
And to, I think, 24-year-old me, this might have resembled something familiar that I don't really like in video games. Because it was a normal head crab is fine. The black head crab had kind of more longer, bendier legs that resembled something that I don't particularly like in video games. So at that point, I actually quit Half-Life 2 for several years until I finally got back around to it and decided, right, I'm just going to have to go through this. And it wasn't the greatest part of the game, in my view, for me, but I did get past it eventually. I've completed Half-Life 2. It took 3 goes to finally get around to it.
Third time lucky.
That's how yeah. Forced myself through it. But yeah, Runehof was like the best and the worst of Half-Life 2.
Yeah. The enemies aren't good in that game, though. Like
No.
those head
Yeah, they
crabs
are quite varied. Yeah.
That one that as well, that woman though, who like slings the black head crabs at you. It's like, what the hell? Why are you doing this?
The ones that always got me were those the ones that run, like the speedy ones, the ones that can climb and then like jump at you. And they sort of resemble like the xenomorphs from Alien.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Didn't like them.
Just
Really
in
didn't
regards
like
to the crabs, I always thought they reminded me of the Flood from Halo. I think it might have taken a little bit of inspiration from there.
They could have. I think Halo came out before Half-Life 2, didn't it? Although I think Half-Life 2 was definitely in development before, potentially.
Yeah, because the Halo was 2001, weren't it?
Well, I read somewhere, wasn't Half-Life 2 initially meant to come out around 2001, 2002? But I think hackers managed to get the source code for all of it, wasn't there? There was an instance where... Yeah, they got an early version of the game. And so Valve were like, right, we're putting this off for like a year or two. Like, we're not releasing it. I think it was something like that. I think that's what the story goes. It's a bit of an odd one. But...
I love the Vortigaunts in it. They're brilliant. Do you know what I'm on about? Have you come across the Vortigaunts? Anything?
I've not completed it just yet.
So they're sort of like these alien creatures, which they just refer to you as the Freeman.
Okay, that's cool.
The Freeman.
The Freeman.
The Freeman has done well. So I think they were an enemy in the first game, but then they're like your allies in this one.
Oh, is the one that you meet in like a train car quite early in the game?
Yeah, you meet a couple of them, and then later on in the game,
yeah,
they're teaching you like new skills.
Oh, cool.
The Freeman.
Did they teach you how to control those like fire ends?
Those ball things.
Yeah. Oh, the balls that you can throw and then they attract the fire and.
The Freeman throw a ball into the pit. The Freeman has done well. I just for some reason I just found them hilarious, but because they just one thing I have to say I really like about the game is that every NPC or ally you come across, they like think you're the second coming of Jesus. It's like,
well, you are the savior.
Like they think you're the most amazing person ever. So it's good. We've got Gordon Freeman with us. I can't believe we've got Gordon Freeman.
It's like, yeah.
How do you know who I am?
The Freeman.
Like, I'm only a physicist.
Rebel fires towards the end.
I'm just some physicist, you know. Well, yeah, everyone loves you, apparently. And I love Dog.
Oh, Dog was fun.
Dog's great. Not used enough, if you ask me. Not in the game enough. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the robotic dog.
You use him in the VR game, I think, can't you?
Oh, I don't know.
Alex, I think.
I don't know anything about that. The VR, so.
Do need to get around to it.
Well, that's a PC exclusive, isn't it? So. VR on PC. VR on PC is not cheap.
No, but it's much better than PlayStation VR.
Well, yeah, but it's easy to play. Well, it's more mainstream, isn't it? So, if it came out on PSVR, I'd play it. But I
Yeah.
can't see me playing that anytime soon.
Mm.
Did you play any of the DLCs?
Ooh,
Episode 1,
I
2.
didn't know. I'd like to get around to doing them at some point.
Yeah, because they were on the Orange Box as well. So I played through them. I
Mm.
can't remember anything about them.
But they're there.
Mm.
I've not played any of them yet. I think I'll give them a go after I've finally completed the game. I don't think I'm that far away, to be honest. But yeah, it's good. Here's the question I've got. I couldn't find this anywhere. When is the game set? Do we know?
Well,
'Cause
like
I-
time frame wise.
Yeah, I thought it was. It looks like a lot. Well, it looks to me like it's set in the 70s.
I have no idea, to be quite honest.
I'm not
Is it
sure.
supposed to be like an undisclosed time period?
Yeah, well, I couldn't find a time period on it, so I don't think it's ever been mentioned. But when I first played it, I was like, right, it's a dystopian future or past, maybe, because it could
Yeah,
have been that the aliens came to enslave Earth. I
Mm.
think the war only took about 7 hours,
Yeah.
and that was it. And then this is just the future of the fight back.
It's very well like an Orwellian dystopian, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of a feeling.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like it. I do like the bleakness of it.
It's very bleak. So there's no color to it.
Did any of you get stuck at any certain points? Because I found that's one thing I do like about it. It doesn't really hold your hand, but there were a couple of bits where I was walking around for a good few minutes trying to find out where to go next.
Yeah, because it's not guided, is it? You don't
No,
have
No.
arrows
don't
or
have
anything
objectives as such. You know what
Well, I
you
think-
need to do generally, but
I think that's to the game's credit.
Hmm.
That it's designed in such a way that you pretty much know mostly where you need to go.
Hmm.
I never really got lost or anything like that. It's still fairly linear in terms of its design,
Yeah.
but there were like secret areas and things, weren't there, where you could go and pick stuff up.
yeah, that is one nice thing. If you do go and explore, you do get rewarded for it with like extra health and grenades and guns and
Ammo
stuff.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one particular bit that I got stuck on that I needed to look at a walkthrough on. So, do you know, just after you go in that red train cart, and then you basically get to a point where they're firing at you with that, the like Tommy gun style thing.
Yeah, I think I know what I mean.
Basically, after you've done that segment, there's a certain thing that's supposed to drop to allow you to walk across the right hand side of this place where you are. It never dropped for me. So on the walkthrough, I saw it, and basically you were able to walk the path. But for me, it not dropped that certain bit of the path, so I couldn't get past it. So what I needed to do is walk to the very end of this section and then try and like jump on top of this like blue van to get over it to proceed in the game.
Nothing that ever happened to me. I don't recall.
Yeah, I must have been unlucky because I tried like shooting these blocks of wood and wood and hitting them and stuff. This wouldn't break, and I thought this should automatically break. Really, if I need to get to this next bit, I tried like using barrels to like jump onto the barrel to jump onto this section, but then I couldn't get over that section to get onto the path. So I was like, right, that's it. I'm using a walkthrough. So I went to YouTube and found where I needed to go. Then I could work my way around it. Yeah, well, so far that's the only bit that stopped me. But it's good so far. I'm enjoying it for what it is. To say it came out 16 years ago.
Yeah. So, Half-Life 3? Is it ever going to happen?
Oh, they've been touting it for ages. Well, for years, haven't they? I mean, I think if it does come out, it's going to be very special. It's got to be.
Well, this is the
I
thing
don't
with
know how
Valve. This thing with Valve, though, isn't it? It's like, are they really going to go into game development much now? Because they've got Steam, that gives them all their money.
Mm.
Do they need to?
I think they make a lot of money out of it.
Give the IP to someone else.
Who'd you give it to?
Oh, Ooh.
You tell them to give it out, but who's
Bethesda.
be worthy enough? No.
Oh, to make it Xbox exclusives.
Yeah.
No.
I think it'd be too big for Bethesda to handle.
Rockstar.
Nah. Not that kind of game, is it?
Could
They're
be.
not really proven to do
Yeah.
first-person stuff good.
GTA 5 were good.
You know what? I actually think. I think the game that's gone closest to Half-Life 2 is probably Titanfall 2.
Mm.
I mean, a lot of people were saying it's got one of the best first-person campaigns this generation.
I still need to play that. I've heard really good things about it.
I got so far into it. I need to play it
That
more.
was Respawn, wasn't it?
Respawn, yeah. I mean,
So
they've got
let's
proven
just
track
go with
record.
that. Let's just say for Respawn, why not?
Let's say Respawn. I don't think Half-Life 3 will ever happen in my lifetime.
No, unfortunately, I don't think it will either. I think if it was going to happen, I think it would have happened by now. So part of me thinks that this VR Alex thing was just trying to shut the community up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want Half-Life?
Here's
This is
a
the game
new
you gotta
Half-Life
get.
game. Just go with that.
No,
We don't
stop
do
asking.
freeze.
I mean,
like
did
the
they
music.
end it? Yeah, the music's nice. I was just going to say, didn't they end it by putting him back into stasis? So it's open for something else.
I think.
I'm not sure. I don't know how episode 2 ended.
No, I can't remember actually either.
Yeah.
I can remember how the
Anyway-
main game ended. I can't remember episode 2.
Anyway, the music.
Yeah, there's kind of like some funky techno music in there as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it's fairly. It doesn't come in very much, but when it comes in, it's very atmospheric, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels very organic when it does come in.
Yeah, so if you don't know, we're doing a separate segment called Top of the Pod. So that's where we pit things against each other and come out with the top thing. So for the next one, we're going to be doing the top Xbox One game of the generation, Xbox exclusive. So watch out for that in the coming days, and that's going to be released on YouTube. So something to look forward to there.
Yep.
So yeah, find Joking Dolphin on the YouTube channel. You can
Mhm.
find that. We've also done a previous one, which was the best Pokemon generation. So if you're into that, go and check that one out too. As for this podcast, well, if you enjoyed listening to us, please consider tuning in next time. We release bi-weekly on Tuesdays. You can visit our website at jokingdolphin.com, where we post blogs on the Hall of Fame. Also, feel free to follow us on all social media platforms to continue the conversation. You can find Joking Dolphin on Facebook, as well as Instagram and Twitter at Joking Dolphin. As we just said, we're also on YouTube, where we post this very podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening. Toodles.
Bye.
Goodbye.